This is a 2012 Ford Fiesta ZTEC, a magnificent, if a little pricier, first car. But I am going to be slightly careful as to what I say during this review, as the car is owned by my cameraman Chiram.
Strike one.
What, saying it's a little pricier?
Yep.
But it's not exactly a cheap first car, is it?
Strike one. You have two more and we're done.
Now, not only is this a very nice first car, but it's also a car that you could confidently keep into professional adulthood and no one's gonna blink as you go up to your proper job. I mean, no one's gonna think that you only make paper round money or that you care so little about plants that you'd drive around in a pot plant. My point? You can keep this car for a while. And plus it's also reliable and stuff, but I'm not just saying this because it's his car. Promise. As I said though, you are paying slightly more for the relatively more modern car, along with the high quality, the long lifespan and the 15 kilograms of weed in the boot, but the price that our lovely man here paid for it was £4,000. And with that he got a 1.2 litre petrol engine that gives off 81 horsepower and drives the car to a 0-60 time of 13.3 seconds and a top speed of 104 miles an hour, along with some other bits and bobs of course, which we'll look at now. Now, the first bit, or bob, is the design. I mean, let's be honest, it is a good looking car. Probably the best from this generation of hatchbacks. The only thing I would say is I think I prefer how it looks with 3 doors rather than the 5 doors that this has.
You're kidding, right?
No?
For the, okay.
Yeah, I mean, old cars always look better with 3, they look sportier.
Yeah, I'm gonna count that as 2 strikes. I'm done.
Right, well, anyway, you've seen this car many a time before and you all know what it looks like, so I think it's time to move on. Now before we go inside, another factor I want to quickly mention that also makes this a very good first car is reliability. Because the car is very reliable, and on top of that it's quite frequent, it's quite a common car, and it's relatively modern, so parts are not hard to get your hands on, which means they're not too expensive. So if you do need to fix something because of an issue or just something routine, it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, maybe just a little pinky finger. We're now in the interior, as you can see, which is very good because it is very cold outside, but it's a very, very nice interior. We've got comfortable seats to start off with, a nice steering wheel. We've got a few controls on there, but not too many for those of you that don't like your controls on your steering wheel. Nice, easy dash, all these things to see. There's good pockets down at the side, plenty of room in there. We have a plethora of cup holders, which you will all be happy to see. 2 there, 1 there, and that is just the ones down there. Are there ones in the side?
Yeah,
I think so.
But you can put some in there.
Yeah, it works.
It
works, exactly. You've got your AC with plenty of options and controls for that. You've got your radio. You've got, as we discovered before, Bluetooth.
Hang on.
I was going to say, I don't know. Yeah, we'll just...
Bear with me. Yeah.
Everything's easy to access. It's pretty standard layout. Tiny bit plasticky. It was something I've seen online. To be honest, not overly plasticky. It's a first car. What can you ask for? And one of the bigger criticisms, which I've seen in a decent few places, was that the interior feels dated. It feels like it's based on technology of the time, which I don't really get, because it is based on technology of the time, because it is technology of the time, and I don't mind that. I don't feel like it should feel current and present, because how are you going to do that? Guess and plan that everyone's just going to have a big whacking iPad in the middle. So that doesn't really bother me at all. And to be honest, if you're going to call this car dated, I don't think that's fair. I mean, this is over 10 years old and it does not look like that. If this is the only place where it feels slightly dated, I'm okay with that. I wouldn't really think that's a big issue, but there we go. It was written about online. But other than that, it's good in here. Only other little thing is my Chiram here, Mr. George, has cut his hand in here before, because as you reach in, it's a little bit sharp, and as you go for like it in the dark, it's very easy to grab in there. So that's probably not ideal. And then if you do go inside, nice ambient lighting up here, but no lights inside, which can make grabbing things, as I'm sure you can guess, slightly difficult. So that's a slight criticism in there. And then my final criticism, you know what's coming, I think you know what's coming. The gear stick. I just don't like it, man. The handbrake, fine, plenty of space, all nice. USB ports there, fine. Cubby holes, all good, but not the gear stick. I'm sorry, it's not round, it's not nice looking, I'm sorry. You're not gonna cut?
No, I do like a round knob.
Don't we all? Now, I may have said before how I prefer this with 3 doors than 5, but to be honest, I only said that to annoy him. I may have said this before, but 5 doors is always the way to go. But I am firmly in the camp that if you have a choice, always get 5 doors. I mean, look how easy it is for me to get out. I can just step outside. As you mentioned previously, if there's a fire, I'm much less likely to die in flames. And also you get the same amount of room in here whether you get 3 doors or 5 doors. You get window winders. Can't say you get those in the 3 door. You get cubbies down here to keep things. Admittedly, those are on both, but it's very good. So yeah, 3 doors, good way to go. Bad way to go. Almost got that wrong. 5 doors is the way to go. Only get 3 doors if you particularly prefer how it looks. Maybe if you get it on like the ST. Some of the STs only come with 3 doors. So fair enough then. But unless you're a murderer and you want to just not let your person escape, I'd go with 5 doors. But speaking of escaping, wouldn't necessarily want to. It's nice and comfortable back here. You haven't got a ton of leg room when it's at a normal seating position, but there's enough. I mean, I don't have particularly tiny feet or legs, and that's fine. I can move them back and forth. No worries. Headroom, very good. Again, I am not the tallest person, but you're gonna be a bit taller to hit the roof there, and also when you're sat back. So like I said, that is all fine. 3 seats, got a middle one here. Can't say it'd be overly comfortable with 3 whole people back here, but it's pretty much fine. And you've got pockets on the back. You've got no side pockets, but I can't judge that because my Golf has neither. It's a nice back. It's a comfortable car, it's practical. You can fit a family of 4 in here if you want to. It's even got ISOFIX points, so if your family of 4 includes a child, you can strap them in. Right, and we are on to the boot now. It's a neat little boot. It's not massive. There is room underneath it for a spare tyre, though there is no spare tyre unfortunately in here, but you can put one in there if you want to, and it has a very small spanner, which may come in useful, but there's room enough for a couple of things in there. You can probably go for a nice weekend away, pack your bags in, no issue. And normally at this point in the video, I would end up in the boot.
Actually, this is all right, you know. I could quite comfortably get in here and stay. What are we doing?
No.
What?
Ow! Come on, can I get out now?
However, I think I'm beyond that, to be honest. I've outgrown it, I've matured, so I won't be climbing in the boot this video. And on top of that, it's not a massive boot. It's about average size. It's 290 litres with the seats up, and then 974 with the seats down, but unfortunately they don't quite fold flat, so it is slightly more annoying to put your stuff in. But most importantly, the boot is smaller than the VW Golfs.
Yeah, you're going in that boot.
Ah! Ow! Ah! Ooh! Ah! Ouch. What I forgot to mention though is that it has a lot more boot space than a Pagani Zonda and a Huayra and an Aventador and like a 458 and a Veyron and a Smart 4.2, which is very impressive and impressive and should be remembered. Oh wait, oh right, yeah. Now, before we talk about the driving of this car, I thought it was only fair to show you the absolute beast, the 81 horsepower machine that drives it. This is, believe it or not, the Ford Sigma engine. It's a good engine, it's been around since 1995. It's a good engine if you ignore the name, somewhat. Anyway, and it's 1.2 litre, as I've said before, and that means it's not the biggest kid on the block, but it's also not the really tiny 1 litre, which you can get with this car in. And it's pretty good, and like I said, the main thing about it is it's hugely economical without being so small that it's basically pointless. So, no complaints. It's a pretty good engine.
The engine was sold under the name Zetec S, then Zetec SE, and then finally Duratec. It was created in collaboration with Ford, Mazda and Yamaha, with the engine noise being perfected in the Ford Acoustic Center in Cologne. The engine's maiden usage was in the Mark IV Fiesta and the virtually identical Mazda 121, and it finally got replaced by a 3-cylinder 1-litre EcoBoost engine in 2012, making this Fiesta one of the last cars to make use of the Ford Sigma.
Now, it's time for us to go on to the driving segment of the car. However, unfortunately, I'm not insured on this car, so I've come up with an ingenious solution instead. So obviously this is Cherem George's gorgeous car here. So what I've got done is I've got him to basically drive the car and then write down his thoughts, and effectively for him to write the review bit for this bit of the car. And now I am going to read that bit whilst he makes driving noises. So basically it's going to be just like I'm driving the car. So yeah, I'll take that. Thank you very much. All right, so this is his words, not mine. Speed. Power. Two of the things you have no shortage of with this masterpiece of modern engineering. No feeling compares to the rush of having both feet planted on the pedals of this untamable beast. The relationship between a man and his pedal tractor is one not of control but respect.
Yeah, that's the wrong one. Let's take that back, but there you go, that's the right one.
Right, okay.
Pretend that never happened.
Alright, that's fine. Take two. Driving the 2012 Ford Fiesta is truly an experience, not one on the same incredible level as, say, a pedal tractor, but still an enjoyable experience. Unfortunately though, since it's January and therefore freezing cold, the experience usually has to wait until the windows have de-iced. The Fiesta does have heated windows, which helps speed this up somewhat, but while the back window may have the heating power of the dragon from the first Beast Quest book, slightly niche reference there, the front window doesn't. This usually results in sitting there waiting, like you normally would when your windows are demisting, except now the back window is completely clear, which doesn't help in any way, but it's the thought that counts. I agree, that is true. When you can finally see where you're going somewhat and start driving the Fiesta, it is a more enjoyable experience. Despite having a relatively small engine, it rarely feels like it's struggling for more power. Does it sound like that?
Not really.
Cool, we'll keep reading.
In my head it does.
Yeah, good, that's good. The acceleration is always responsive and it has no problem going up hills, although it does usually require more beans when pulling away at speed than the cars I've driven with bigger engines. Sorry, I can't read sometimes. However, that does mean you can hear the 1.2 litre engine roar in all its glory. Just gonna stop you there. And you can hear the questionable sound from the cheap exhaust that was fitted just before I bought it. They fitted another, I mean, I guess that's this exhaust, but I guess it does mean that possibly the old one wasn't great either.
Yeah.
Okay. Worth bearing in mind, I guess. That being said, if you're in need of a getaway car for robbing banks or jewellery shops or whatever, any plans?
Not
to say here, yeah. You'd probably want something with a bit more speed. The best part of the driving experience though is definitely the handling, which is about as smooth and nimble as you'd expect from a small car. It has no problem turning corners, which is kind of important, I guess. I would say so.
Yep.
Out of the few cars that I've driven, the Fiesta is definitely one of the easiest to drive, and it does everything I expected it to do, so I don't really have any complaints about it. Usually my Fiesta driving experience ends with me spending hours trying to perfectly parallel park before an intense beeping noise reminds me that I forgot to turn the headlights off. Now anyway, onto the pedal tractor. This is a very good car. Yeah, it's slightly more on the expensive side of things, but if you're not inclined to drive into walls or, well, anything, which I'm aware rules out some first drivers, then it's practical. It's reliable, it's cool, it's good looking, it's fun to drive, and to be honest, I don't think you can get anything else better for your money, other than a Golf.
Alright, go home.
Thank you for watching, bye!